Dave Hill, a winner last week in Killington, trying to become the new master of the moguls. The veteran, Scott Rawls, defending champ at Vail, this year skiing like a newcomer. Speaking of which, this is Jared Simmons, the former World Cupper, now establishing himself amongst the pros as the Bud Mogul Tour visits Vail. Welcome to the village of Vail as ESPN's coverage of the Bud Mogul Tour returns to the Rockies for a three-stop swing through Colorado. Hello once again, everyone. I'm Tim Singer, joined as always by ESPN analyst Duffy Wilson. Duffy, we return to the West, yet we return with a brand new attitude.
Well, those gentlemen you mentioned at the top of the show, Tim, have a new attitude. Cameron Boyle, injured in Killington. He won't be here in Vail, and those fellas don't have to worry about Cameron. They've got to worry about their own skiing.
The competitors and the recreational skiers are heading out to the mountain. You gotta love this snow, already close to 3 feet in the month of January alone. But Duffy, that's all offset by an unbelievable course.
It just makes it better. Look, Ma, is such a great mogul run. The conditions are perfect. The snow is soft, huge bumps, and a great mid-mountain restaurant sits right at the bottom of this run. Huge crowds loving the mogul skiing here on Look Ma. And Look Ma got its name from the fact that mothers could sit at the restaurant and watch their kids ski down the trail. The course today is short, 612 feet long, very steep at the top, 55 degrees, and then it moderates to a still steep 34 degrees at the bottom.
And when we return to Vail, we'll have early round action of the Bud Mogul Tour. The jumps and turns are heading your way. Welcome back to the Bud Mogul Tour from Vail, Colorado. One of the great parts about the tour making stops around the nation is it gives local skiers a chance to enter the competition. And of the 98 competitors here, many local skiers found out that this is no easy ride down the hill. Even the established competitors found the going tough. Great Scott, a pair of them. Scott Gardner on the left, Scott Koff on the right, dueling in the early round. Gardner kisses the fence while Koff advances to the next round. Sensational newcomer Brad Holmes against Mike Rawls. Rawls on the right takes maybe the best fall of the day, and Mike, Abominable Snowman Rawls, goes home. This is Mike's brother, the veteran Scott Rawls of Breckenridge, Colorado. Rawls is the defending champ here in Vail, but has a little trouble getting great air, and Scott Harrington, whom they call the Sky Man, skies his way to the next round. Justin Patnode on the right, Robert Igiri on the left. Igiri finished third in last year's tour, has been struggling all of 1992, but looks to have his act together as Igiri advances to the quarterfinals. So here's how the quarters shape up. The top seed, Dave Hill, takes on Aguirre. Then it's Scott Koff dueling Brad Holmes. Patrick Carlman will take on Jared Simmons, and two newcomers to the quarterfinals, Bob Dickey and Scott Harrington. Now for a closer look at this Look-Ma course, we go to my colleague Duffy Wilson, standing at the top.
Thanks, Tim. You know, if last week we could characterize Outer Limits as a marathon, a very long run, it certainly was difficult. This week, we can characterize Look-Ma as a sprint. But when I say sprint, I don't mean an easy run. Look-Ma is so steep at the start. Look above me, it's about 50 degrees right here. And as our competitors come down the hill, they're basically free-falling past me. Look at that. Fantastic start right here. It's even steeper below me. In the earlier rounds, we saw some spectacular crashes. We are looking forward to a great quarterfinal.
Thanks, Duffy. Up at the start, 27-year-old Robert Aguirre, third in last year's Tour standings, a disappointment this season. And Dave Hilb, he was a winner last week in Killington. Right now, Hilb previews his chances here in Vail.
I'm really psyched to come off a win last week. Today, the course is looking pretty nice. Some big bumps, steep up top, a lot of good skiing. It's going to be tough, but I'd like to put a win back to back.
Red course ready.
Ready.
Blue course ready.
Ready.
Racers ready.
Hilb is on the left, Aguirre on the right.
In the middle of the course, you can see how well Robert is skiing.
The nice spread by Dave Hilb.
And Aguirre having put that air right there, and it looks like Dave Hill is locked in right now. Body position a little forward, a good double trick, good stretch.
Double daffy by Hilb, countered with a double maneuver by Aguirre. Dave Hilb across the line first. He has a third, and a first amongst his credits so far this season. And we await the scores from the judges. Dave Hilb against Robert Aguirre. And on the red course, by 3-2 scores each, Dave Hilb advances to the semifinals.
Well, Dave Hilb won every judge's card 3-2, a 15-10 victory. You can see right here a nice stretch on the air, not very big. Good turns in the middle section of the course. He's locked in, deflecting very well, and his body position is excellent right to there. He got forward, was able to stand back up. I'd call that a 1 3/4, Tim.
All right, now we're looking at Brad Holmes. Finished second 2 weeks ago in Sunday River, Maine. Out of the World Cup circuit and one of the exciting newcomers on this tour. He takes on Scott Koff. Koff still trying to come back from a knee injury. The Tour veteran has won the season championship 4 times.
Blue course ready. Racers ready.
Here they come again, and you see him dropping into Look-Ma. You know, the snow's not really that bad. It's just that the skiers are just taking it all with them. Right now, Holmes and Koff very close. Holmes better air in the middle section of the course, Tim.
Keep a close eye on Scott Koff. He says having a smile on his face is the key for him. That's when he skis best.
And he also loves to rule the hill. His turns were much better in the middle section of the course.
Well, you can bet he's smiling there. Scott Koff easily beats Brad Holmes across the finish line and should be the winner pending the judges' scores. And on the red course, a split decision, but the advantage goes to Scott Koff.
Very close call by the judges. Brad Holmes won the air. That was fairly good air on the middle section of the course, a nice spread. Brad Holmes, we had a split for the judging as far as the turns go, and you can see Bradley skiing very well here in the middle section, of course. That one in the air, a very clean helicopter, landed straight down the hill. Taking a look at Scotty Koff, Scott skied very well. Once again, the turns were split. Scotty won the overall, and of course, he made it to the finish line first.
Well, Scott Koff appears to be all the way back from his knee injury from a year ago. He advances to the semifinals along with Dave Hilb as they fly their way into the semis. But stay with us. A Swedish fan club is on hand to cheer on Patrick Carlman. He leads the rest of the quarterfinals into action at Vail.
The Bud Mogul Tour, brought to you in part by the Days Inn at Vail.
Welcome back to the Bud Mogul Tour. Tim Singer along with Duffy Wilson as the quarterfinals continues. Patrick Karlman of Sweden, a third 2 weeks ago, a second last week. He's looking for a victory and taking on Jared Semmens. Semmens skiing well here at Vail, talks about what he needs to do.
It's pretty tough at the top, you know, it's really steep. A lot of these guys aren't used to the steeper bumps. Where I come from at Squaw, it's kind of like the normal thing, so I like it. Hopefully I'll keep on winning today.
Well, Jared's hoping, but he's now facing a very steep course.
And what you see there, that brown, it's a cliff. It's not from lack of snow. It's just so steep and so many competitors coming out of the start.
Patrick Karlman of Sweden, Jared Semmens from California, and Karlman already having trouble.
Well, Karlman got back, and now as he comes down into the next air, he's off the course.
He goes down. He goes down, and Semmens has an easy ride.
Semmens has a smooth ride now into the next round. You can see Jared right here just checking out the line on the bottom section of the course.
Pulls off the double maneuver nonetheless, so Jared Semmens, 5th place last week, is advancing to the semifinals. Patrick Karlman, who finished second in Killington, will go home this week. The scores are a foregone conclusion. Jared Semmens out of breath after that tough look-ma course.
Jared Semmens skiing. Again, the air right in the middle section of the course is not being negotiated well by the competitors. They're all doing small spreads that they kind of turn sideways with. We get a chance to see Jared now get down into the line. There's another 1 3/4 trick. Look-ma is really intimidating the competitors right now.
We have a beautiful day here in Vail as the spectators take in the sunshine. Also checking out the action from within the lodge, our final quarterfinal. Scott Harrington, bib number 8, finished 8th in 1991. He'll be taking on Bob Dickey. Call him Double Trick Dickey because of his double maneuvers on the jumps.
Well, here we have to see once again if he can get a good trick up high. The red course has had the easiest time up high, Tim. The blue course has had trouble with air on the top of the course.
Both these skiers have had trouble all season long, failing to make it into the quarterfinals until here in Vail.
We look at those guys coming out of the start. They're truly just dropping down into Look-Ma. Scott Harrington skiing very well in the middle section of the course, looking good. He's way out in the lead.
Well, Dickey pulled off the big Cossack up at the top, but it is the speed advantage right now to the Skyman.
A great helicopter. That's the air judge right there.
So Scott Harrington, a recent graduate of the University of Connecticut, crosses the finish line ahead of Bob Dickey. And the scores come in, and the judges give it to Bob Dickey. Duffy, this was a close call. Tell me why Bob Dickey won it.
Well, I know that we both were looking at Scott Harrington at the bottom of the course. Dickey won it right there. He got the upper air, and if you'll remember, Tim, we forgot because Harrington skied so well on the bottom of the course, he did not ski the top of the course well, had to go around the upper air.
And so many of us caught this helicopter at the bottom. It was a big maneuver, but really he was scrambling at this point.
Scrambling at this point, and he had to jump again because that's his second air, and he had to do it on the bottom of the course. Dickey, on the other hand, had a very good run at the top of the course, very solid. And here, look at this air. Again, stretched out all the way, a great double daffy, and that's why he won. A close call, but a good call.
So Dickey is into the semifinals. The bracket looks like this. Dave Hilb will face Scott Koff. Then it's Jared Semmens and Bob Dickey. You think the Denver Broncos draw a lot in Colorado? Well, the resort of Vail draws 3 times as many people each year. Vail is also the home to many skiers on the Bud Mogul Tour, and right now a whole group of them take us on a tour of the mountain. We're back in Vail, Colorado. Tim Singer along with Duffy Wilson as we get a beautiful look at the Gore Range in central Colorado. We're now set for the semifinals. It will be Scott Koff against Dave Hilb. Koff won his first ever pro race in 1984. And of course, Dave Hilb won his last week in Killington, Vermont. Both skiers looking good here in Vail.
Red course ready.
Ready?
Hilb is drawing the blue course and Koff the red course. The blue course is tougher to get into on the start, but it skis better in the line down in the middle of the course.
If you're a fan of Warren Miller films, then watch closely because both these skiers have skied in those movies. Awkward move by Hilb on the right course, and the bumps are taking him right now.
That's not Dave Hilb's style. He usually locks in real well, deflects well, and Dave Hilb's having a horrible run. Scotty Koff with a little bit of air. This is no problem for Scott.
Little bit of air triple maneuver as Scott Koff bangs into the gate, but I think he has the advantage here. He thinks so, as Dave Hilb may fall after winning last week. A handshake, and we await the judges' scores. And 4 of the 5 judges also like Scott Koff. The 4-time tour champ advances to his first final of the year.
Well, both skiers negotiated the starting area fairly well, got into the course, but then for Dave Hilb, things just went the other way. Dave's all over the place. He's getting knocked out of the line, Tim, whereas Scott Koff wasn't getting pushed too hard, came down, had a nice triple air there, and really Scott Koff didn't have too much trouble. Dave Hilb had nothing but trouble.
So Scott Koff advances into the championship, and now you're looking at Bob Dickey, 28 years old. He's a chef in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. He's taking on 25-year-old Jared Semmens. Semmens, out of the World Cup program, finished 6th in one World Cup event in 1989. You know he's a good skier.
Okay, here we go. Red course ready.
Semmens has drawn the red course. Once again, it skis well at the start, but it's tougher in the middle of the course. The blue course is just the cliff diving. It's bungee jumping. Look at those guys drop away.
Jared Semmens said he came on the Pro Tour because he liked the amount of money Cameron Boyle was making on the tour.
Both had a little air up there. Look at Semmens start to turn now. He's got that good line low on the red course. Great triple.
And Semmens owning the course while the course is owning Bob Dickey. It's Jared Semmens across the finish line first. Both arms pumped as we await to see what the judges say. As we've learned here in Vail, speed does not always mean victory. But in this case it does, as Jared Semmens jumps for joy and will jump in to the finals.
Jared Semmens skiing very well. Look at his body position. You see his knees coming up. He's taking Lookma on. He's taking Lookma right into his stomach. Look how even his shoulders are. This is fantastic skiing right here. Jared Semmens is showing you how it's done. Hands are moving around, shoulders are locked in. Great knee work.
So Jared Semmens, who has been getting better each week in his first year on the tour, advances to the championship, and he takes on the 4-time champ, Scott Koff. That's coming up in a moment. A program reminder on ESPN, World Cup Downhill from Grindelwald, Switzerland. Join Bob Beatty and Todd Brooker February 7th at 8 p.m. Meantime, join me and Park Smalley from the Olympic Village of Lake Placid, World Cup Freestyle, 12 noon on February 8th. ESPN's World of Skiing and the Bud Mogul Tour returns to Vail right after this. All right, we're back at Vail. Tim Singer along with Duffy Wilson. And Duffy, of course, mogul skiing is part of the upcoming Olympics. Now, this is a sport of showmanship and great skiing. Which of those two factors do you think impress the Olympic people?
Great skiing. There's no question that the showmanship was important in the start of the sport. Most of these guys, when they were kids, were showmen. But now it's the great skiing that's important. There's no question about it.
And the Americans, of course, figure to do well in Albertville. That's coming up in a few weeks. But coming up now, let's go to the top for the consolation duel. On the right is Dave Hilb. On the left, bib number 55, Bob Dickey. And a close look at Dickey, who has yet to make it past a round of 16 until Vail. Meantime, Dave Hilb has 2/3 and a first already this year. It would shape up to be a mismatch.
Well, you'd think so. Dave Hilb is looking for another third place. Let's watch him come out of the start. Hilb's got the cliff on his side, and Dickey, of course, has got a better line on the top of the course. Watch him drop in here.
We'll credit Bob Dickey. He's been skiing great here in Vail, but he's already having trouble with Lookma.
Well, Dickey had a little problem. He hung up his downhill ski, but he came back from it fairly well. And right now, our two skiers are locked up pretty well. You see Dave Hilb, he's having a much better run than he had in the last round.
They call Dave Hilb the thrill, which means when he's not home, his answering machine says the thrill is gone. They cross the finish line together. Hilb and Dickey will be close in the speed points, but Dave Hilb must have skied much better on that one.
Dave Hilb was making better turns, and also Dickey at the bottom of the course was basically just bumping through the ripples.
So the judges come in with the scores, and it is Dave Hilb taking the third place title for the third time this season.
Interesting look at Hilb negotiating the cliff, and Dickey not negotiating it very well. You see him spin right there, cost him a lot of points.
So Dave Hilb taking that top jump, the skiing problems he had in the semifinals, he doesn't seem to have here in the Consolation as Bob Dickey does.
Well, they were neck and neck off that air at the top, and both looked very good on that spread, but you see right here Dave Hilb with great turns, a nicely performed double daffy on his way to the finish line and on his way to another third place.
The patented Hilb move, the double daffy, and another third place for Dave Hilb. Now the crowd gets set. Several thousand on hand here in Vail, ready for the championship. A youngster and a veteran, Jared Semmens. We're seeing if his star will shine. Semmens attempting his first ever championship on the Bud Mogul Tour, and he'll be taking on a four-time Seasons Tour champion in that man right there, Scott Koff. His knees appear to be all the way back from last year's operation.
I talked to both of these guys before the run. They both wanted to ski on the blue course, but they both can't ski on the blue course. Semmens on the red course, Koff on the blue.
Blue course ready. Racers ready.
Racing down Lookma for a championship at Vail.
Scotty Koff leaps over the cliff, and he's in very well. Look at these guys. They're side by side, and Koff has problems into the first air. I don't even think we can call that a jump.
A lot of snow blowing up on Scott Koff's course while Jared Semmens is smoothly heading to that second jump with the double maneuver.
Jared Semmens stayed in the line. Scotty Koff got detoured. I think he also got detoured from the championship side of the stand.
A cry of elation from Jared Semmens, who says he entered this tour to win the Cameron Boyle type dollars, and now Jared Semmens might be a champion. Yes, taking 4 of the 5 judges' call. Jared Semmens has won here in Vail.
You know, Jared Semmens did win, but Scotty Koff also lost, and he lost right there. He had a problem going into the upper air, and I think it just destroyed his whole run. He got detoured off the course, was not in the line, and Scotty Koff knew at that time that Semmens had to do just this, ski well. He's skiing a very good line here. Knees are working well, making great turns. A nice double maneuver, nicely done, and good enough to beat Scotty Koff.
Some fresh faces on the leaderboard as Jared Semmens leads the way over Scott Koff, Dave Hilb, and Bob Dickey. And a look at the rest. And right now, Duffy Wilson is standing by with a brand new champion, Jared Semmens.
Thanks, Tim. Well, Jared Semmens, your first win on the Bud Mogul Tour. How's it feel?
It feels great. You know, I've been skiing pretty well since the Sunday River competition, and I finally put it together today, and it feels really good. Hopefully I can have a few more wins after this.
It looked like Scott had a little bit of trouble in the middle section of the course, actually to the top. He didn't get his air. You skied very solidly.
I didn't see Scott, but I felt really good, especially in the middle. I was going really fast and staying tight, so I'm happy with the way I skied.
Well, congratulations to you and the best of luck in Aspen.
And Aspen is where Jared Semmens and 100 or so other skiers on the Bud Mogul Tour are headed next. For Duffy Wilson, I'm Tim Singer. Thanks for joining us.